Hi, this is Graham Jeacocke. Now, I get a lot of comments from atheists, and they always come back with, "This is hearsay. What you're saying is hearsay. There is no evidence." Now, when atheists go on this line of thought, they're actually referring to criminal cases, because in criminal cases hearsay is not permitted. But as everyone is well aware, there are different branches of law. Now, when it comes to businesses, right, and that kind of area, okay, the laws change, you see, because hearsay is permitted in certain cases where businesses exist, because in the end businesses survive by people speaking. Now, it all comes under the heading hearsay, and just because the person that's giving this bit of information that may or may not be dubious, they don't have the authority of employers, but they have the experience of working in a particular area and they're sharing it, okay? And that's why it's valid, because the way the economy is run, people have to communicate by talking, and when people talk, they elaborate on things. Sometimes hearsay can be lies, but sometimes hearsay can be the truth. Now, to be specific with this issue, we have to relate it to Christianity. Now, you could define Christianity, okay? The very setup of Christianity involves a church, a building, a group of people, members. It is a business, okay? Now, if we imagine ourselves around 2,000 years ago, okay, when the first Christians were talking to people, right, and the first church was established, okay, and it's, for the sake of this argument, we'll say a church building, okay, because most churches in the early start of Christianity were people's houses or wherever they could get together, okay. Now, let's take a Christian, okay. He speaks and he says something about the Christian faith. Now, what he says, okay, without knowing it, it could be right or it could be wrong, okay. That's the most basic thing it could be, right? And I'm going to give you an example when it's wrong and how the church dealt with issues, okay. Now, it comes from 2 Corinthians 11, and I'll start from verse 3 and go on, okay. "I am afraid, however, that just as Eve was deceived by the serpent's cunning, your minds may be led astray from your simple and pure devotion to Christ. For if someone comes and proclaims a Jesus other than the one we proclaimed, or if you receive a different spirit than the one you received, or a different gospel than the one you accepted. You put up with it way too easily. I consider myself in no way inferior to those super apostles. Now, here we have an example of Paul being what's pastoral care, I think that's the term, to new Christians, okay? And this is an example where Christians who are young in their faith have heard other people discussing Christian matters and they soak it up, not realizing they have to be careful what they hear. And this is an example of hearsay, okay? That's my understanding of it. Now, when atheists go on and discuss matters that they consider under the label of hearsay, I don't understand the meaning behind it. I don't know where they're trying to take it, because it doesn't make sense what they're trying to do. So maybe if they would broaden what they mean by when they say that Christians said this and did this, that any time a Christian spoke, this was just hearsay and it could not be trusted. Now, I think they're just afraid to have an open mind. They're afraid to think that it could be this simple. But for goodness sake, atheists go through life every second, every minute, every hour of the day listening to people, and it all comes under the heading of hearsay. Sometimes it's true and sometimes it's bad. That's why businesses fail, because people give wrong advice. But it doesn't mean that when people talk about something, like Christians, they're talking about the Christian faith and what they observed or what it's for. Just because you haven't witnessed it, you are a witness to what reasoning contributes to understanding a situation. For everything a person does comes under reasoning. You have to reason with what you encounter. And reasoning scares atheists. Not all reasoning is good, but reasoning does lead to truth. And truth is what gives every single person on this planet a sense of what they firmly believe as justice. Anyway, I've got to go. Enjoy yourselves.